My rapist became my husband and the father of my daughter. My name is Scarlett and I am 21 years old. I am a brown-skinned African woman with a beautiful smile, a pretty face, and a curvy figure. My life changed forever when I lost my parents at the age of 19. With no one to take care of me, I was taken in by my father's former boss, Harold. Harold was an incredible man who treated me well, not just because he respected my father but because he saw him as a brother. My father had supported Harold's family after his first wife passed away from cancer, helping raise his children. Harold, a wealthy white man, owned Harold Corporation, one of the largest car-selling companies in Namibia and across Africa. Unlike other white employers, he treated my father with deep gratitude rather than as just an employee. When my father passed away, Harold took me in as a way of honoring his memory. Unfortunately, his second wife, Nellie, despised me. She had never liked my father and wouldn't even let him dine at the family table, though my father always did. When I first arrived at the house, she acted sweet, but within days, she made it clear I was unwelcome. She restricted me to my room and became furious whenever Harold invited me to join them for meals. Despite her hostility, I wasn't afraid of her, I only felt pity, knowing she had a terminal illness. Nellie wasn't the only one who resented me. Her last-born son, Thomas, and his wife also made their feelings known. They gossiped about me in Afrikaans and treated me as inferior. Even when Harold repeatedly told them to stop their cruelty, they continued. Whenever I was near Harold, Nellie would abruptly push me away or find an excuse to scold me. Many nights, I cried in my room, wishing my parents were still alive. As the years passed, their treatment of me worsened. I couldn't wait to turn 21 and leave. The turning point. On my 21st birthday, Harold threw a grand party and invited my university friends. I was studying finance management at the International University of Management and was the top student in my course. Harold was incredibly proud of me and often bragged about my achievements, especially in front of Thomas. Thomas, however, was also intelligent and held a high position as the second CEO of Harold Corporation. But his arrogance and greed frequently led to conflicts with his father. At my birthday party, Harold surprised me with a Range Rover as a gift and a contract to work at his company as the second finance manager. Nellie was outraged. She accused me of having an affair with Harold and demanded that he kick me out of the house. She gathered their children and spread lies about me. I saw the pain and embarrassment on Harold's face, so I decided to make things easier. I approached him and said, "Thank you for everything you've done for me, but I think it's time for me to leave." Harold refused to let me go. Instead, he asked me to move into a small backyard flat on the property to avoid further conflict. That night, I cried, relieved that I would finally have some peace. But I was wrong. A dark secret unfolds. Although the family left me alone, the maids, whom I once considered friends, began gossiping about me. They resented me just as much as the family did. I ignored them and focused on my job. A few months after my graduation, I started working at Harold Corporation. I worked hard, and Harold was more than satisfied with my performance. Once again, he began bragging about me in front of Thomas, which only fueled Thomas's hatred. He would glare at me with undisguised resentment, but I ignored him. Then, something strange started happening. I woke up every morning feeling unnaturally exhausted, as if I had taken sleeping pills. At first, I thought it was just stress. But then, I noticed my inner thighs and lower body ached, as if I had been squatting all night in my sleep. I dismissed it. Then came the disturbing dreams. Dreams of reaching orgasm. Dreams so vivid that I woke up confused, aroused, and shaken. I confided in a friend, who suggested it might be a spiritual attack and referred me to a pastor in the Oshana region, 700 kilometers from Windhoek. Desperate for answers, I asked for leave, but Thomas refused and insulted me. As I turned to leave his office, he grabbed my arm and said, "You don't know who my father really is. If you did, you'd be the first to report him to the police." I left, shaken and confused. That night, I stayed at my friend's house, and for the first time in a while, I woke up without exhaustion or body pain. The horrifying TR. Determined to uncover the truth, I installed hidden cameras in my room, disguising them as decorations. I kept my plan secret, asking my friend to bring the cameras as gifts, so no one would suspect anything. That night, I woke up with the same unnatural exhaustion. My body ached again. My instinct screamed at me to check the footage. What I saw shattered my world. Thomas, Harold's son. The man who had tormented me for years. The man who had been drugging and violating me in my sleep. I dropped the phone, my entire body trembling. Tears blurred my vision as I forced myself to watch. He had removed my clothes and had his way with me, over and over again. I ran to grab my phone, desperate to escape to the police. But it was gone. A deep voice behind me sent chills down my spine. Looking for this. Thomas stood in the doorway, my phone in his hand. He walked toward me, raising the phone as if mocking me. "We look good together, don't we?" His voice was disturbingly calm. "I've always wanted you, Scarlett. But I knew you'd never accept me. So I made sure you had no choice. And now, you're mine. Forever." He revealed everything: how he had hacked my phone, altered my medical tests, and timed his assaults to align with my menstrual cycle so I wouldn't notice my virginity was gone. I wanted to scream, to fight, but I was powerless. When I finally told Harold, he was horrified. But instead of seeking justice, he chose silence. To protect the family's reputation, he framed Thomas's wife, forcing Thomas to divorce her. Then, he forced me to marry him. Now, I raise my daughter as if nothing happened. Trapped in a life I never chose. One day, when she turned 2, Thomas knelt before me and said, "I'm sorry. But I will never forgive him." I wonder, would you learn to love your rapist like I did? Or would you risk your life for freedom?